Welcome to the Last Mile Profits videocast, the last word on the last mile.
What is the future locker going to look like? What are the key things in terms of where locker design might go? To find out more, stay tuned and listen to Gary Winters and my thoughts on this super cool topic. Modern Expo provides an integral ecosystem of screen-operated lockers, screenless autonomous solutions, refrigerated lockers, and even personal parcel lockers, powered by in-house developed software. Gary, we got a really cool topic today. I mean, I always say we've got cool topics because they are cool topics, but it's one close to my heart. So what are we going to talk about today?
I think we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about locker design. And as I'm work quite closely with a locker manufacturer, I'm quite interested to hear what you think. If you're going to be a futurologist in locker design for 5 or 6 minutes, where are you going to take us, Marek? What's next?
Let's start with what I think isn't going to happen. I'll be interested in your take on this, but there's a lot of talk about robotic lockers that move around. I've seen lockers. One of the craziest ones was a locker where you have a robot going up to the locker. A robotic hand takes the parcel out of the robot, puts it into the locker, which looked brilliant, but I can't imagine that happening at scale. What I personally reckon is going to happen is we're going to have more and more effective software for lockers. So the lockers pretty much do most things that can be useful now. But what I think we need is software that allows us to, in a very easy way, contactlessly open the locker, get access to the cell. I think we're going to have, again, it's a software issue, more multiple use of cells. I reckon that there will be a continued interest in battery-powered lockers, but I think that they need to be more capable in some ways. So I don't know, Gary, if you heard this story. In one market in Southeastern Europe, the battery locker was great, but by law, cameras are needed. So you can have the best battery locker in the world, but if it's not designed to support that sort of peripheral device, which takes quite a lot of power, you're in trouble. So I'll kick off with that. I think, believe it or not, there's not going to be a revolution. There'll be an evolution. There will be a need for the two types, the battery type and the, let's call it, traditional locker type. I think software is fundamental. And I think if I were to choose, it's even more important than the hardware. But just to open up the best part, I do not believe in refrigerated lockers because they're really, really expensive. And I'm sure for now there must be easier ways to do that. So how about that? What do you reckon?
Well, there was a lot to unpack there. I don't know what multiple use of a compartment of a well, you didn't call it a compartment, you called it a cell. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm kind of with you on refrigerated. We do get asked for it. We and it comes up in a variety of things. It comes up with grocery. Sometimes it comes up with pharmacy. And I think it's a nice idea. And then you think, oh, okay, well then we'll do that. Well then, what are you doing? Are you doing 4 degrees? Are you doing minus 18 degrees? Are you doing minus 32 degrees? Because in the next breath, you're asked, how are you going to reduce the CO2 impact of the locker? Are you going to put a solar panel on the roof? Are you going to make it battery only? Another request: can you air condition the compartments so that they don't go above 25 degrees if outside it's 35? Obviously, none of these things are new technology, but they're costly, and then more importantly, they're costly to run. So I'm kind of with you that it sounds like a great idea until you're confronted with what we've just had is energy prices doubling, trebling around the world.
And then there's the process, because once you get into chill chain, it's a completely different ballgame. All the efficiencies that you can get with a locker network where, you may have seen one of the vids that I did in the past, and this was a true story. Met my local InPost courier who had delivered 1,350 parcels the day before. One courier, one route. Cannot do that when you start having chill chain and special processes for mixed lockers. So I think we're aligned. I will share, because if you question, it means a lot of people probably are going to say, what did Marek mean about the multi-parcel cell? So it's a software trick for heavy users like myself. When I have small parcels, quite often I end up picking up 3 or 4 parcels from one cell because it's the same consignee. And it really adds to the capacity of the machine. So, instead of having a small parcel in
1%.
Even the smallest cell, you might have 3 or 4 in a slightly larger cell.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's going to become absolutely essential without giving away any of our R&D pipeline.
What do you
I
reckon,
got a
Gary,
question for
about
you,
it?
Marek. I got a question
Go
for you.
on.
So, because we're geeks, about a month ago or 2 months ago, it was the 50th birthday of the barcode. The very first barcode scan was done 50 years ago. I mean, most things in the sort of office world, business world, technology world are dead and gone by the time they're 50 years old. We've had a sort of evolution from 1D to QR. What's going to come next? Because I don't think, my personal view is, having this additional information stored in that way and having a special scanner for it, I don't think that's the long term future. I think something else is going to come along.
I think it's a good point, because scanning at the moment is fundamental, because it's our eyes and ears. It's how we can track and trace. Without that, there's no other way. We do have 3D barcodes which are more effective than before. I don't know what your view is. I thought that RFID could do a lot more. I think the problem was cost. But
Yeah.
if you think about it, an RFID tag reduces or eliminates effectively the need for scanning. But then you need the gateways and so on and so forth. But my view, I agree with you. Something has to happen. It's going to be, can you imagine, you don't need to scan individual items. You just, a truck drives through, and the RFID tags show what's there. So I'd say that's going to be
Yeah,
maybe
my view is I think a lot of it with parcels going through the network. I think OCR will get faster. We got OCR on letters. How long before we have really good OCR on parcels, so you can literally sort from the address printed on the label. And then at the locker, as you said, you've got standard where you scan a QR code to get access, either one at a time or multiple, or you've got the Bluetooth locker where you need to have an app. I think it's the having the app part that's the problem. Whose app is it? Is it the retailer's app? Is it the carrier's app? Is it the locker manufacturer's app? Is it some other app that I've not imagined? And then what if I haven't got a smartphone? What if my battery? There are too many concerns, I think, for a lot of the carriers to adopt them. The Nordics are the exception, but I think NFC, you're just approaching the locker with your phone, and it says, "This is Marek. Here are the 3 doors I need to open for him," without you having to do anything at all. Needs to be the future, in my opinion.
I think we moved away, but it's such a cool topic. Let's move away just a little bit more from lockers themselves. My personal view is more and more data is going to be captured online, and then actually, if you use your app or something else, you don't need that data, because if you're recognized by your app, then you know what's happening. A lot of the in-post parcels now, you don't even need a label, because from the cell that the parcel's put into, it recognizes that it's been sent by me and its destination is X, Y, or Z. So, let's see. I think that a lot more data is going to be stored online. Even we recently released the first ever Ukrainian CP report. When I say we, last mile experts. And one of the really cool things there, the biggest carrier actually doesn't require any other data than someone's phone number. So if I have your phone number, I can send a parcel to you, no problem. So, I think things are going to become easier. But maybe getting back to lockers themselves, let's just cover a couple of other things. We both agree refrigerated lockers, not for a while. But what do you think about XXL lockers? Because there's a real problem with, items that are just too large to fit into a traditional locker.
Yeah, I think that's definitely coming. So we've got a big relationship with the retailers in the US where they're looking and trialing huge lockers to enable contractors, plasterers, electricians, plumbers to pick up a van load of stuff in one go. Instead of touring the store, they want to come along, back their van up, load it up, and go off and get on with their day's work. So those things are already here. And I think there's a big opportunity for them. There's also things like building sites. If you're delivering to a building site, finding the right person to deliver what can be very expensive items to somebody, you can't just dump them outside the site hut and drive off. You need to find somebody. So it may be even portable XXL lockers where they might be on site for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years while they're working, so you can deliver into like a semi-permanent address in a secure and automated way. So I'm with you. There's definitely a market there.
Well, the other thing, I won't even get into detail on this because I could talk for hours. It's smart locks. So imagine, your example is brilliant. Imagine on a building site, you have a container with a smart lock and camera. So I don't know if you've seen the Amazon Garage, I think it's a Garage Now or something, where effectively you've got the camera which protects against someone who shouldn't be there playing with a parcel. you can remotely open the garage door. Theoretically, you could do something like that with just a building site container. So I think there's a lot that can be done, and smart locks are a whole new topic. But I think
Yeah.
we're surprisingly
Just a
actually
final
aligned
point I would
on.
make. Just a final point I would make. The environmental impact of these, it comes up every single time at the moment. So, having a screen that's permanently on, having no solar power, so standard lockers, I think, I've got, even if we, as you said yourself, even if you can't remove the need for electricity completely, so if you're going to put a printer in your locker, you're going to need power. If you're going to have CCTV to protect the contents, you're going to need power. So going completely battery powered is going to be challenging. I live in the UK. Going solar powered is going to be more or less impossible. It's sunny for about 3 days a year. So I think finding a combination of ways to lower that impact, turn the screen off when it's not in use solar power when you can use it to either top up a battery or even just to feed back into the grid when it's not being used. These things are going to become important, even more important as well.
Well, I think, you know what, one thing we can do, and maybe we can ask people to put their comments below. Maybe people can share what's the best locker design they've seen. Have you got solar powered lockers, obviously working in places where you have some sun, who are able to manage without direct power? They can do cameras and other stuff like that. So please, let us know if you've got a design that does this sort of thing. I think it would be interesting for everyone. We'll be happy to cover it. Great topic. I won't leave smart locks. I think next time we have to have a chat about that. Thanks for watching this Last Mile Profits video. For more up-to-date last mile news and analysis, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn.